All right, welcome back to another episode of the White Cloaks here on YouTube. Today I'm going to be talking about the season 2 trailer just dropped the other day. It's been hotly debated online on YouTube, Twitter, Reddit, all the different social media places. Um, but yeah, season 2 is coming out September 1st. Obviously, we had a lot to say about season 1. If you want our fully documented, detailed thoughts on season 1, go ahead and rewatch with us on the White Cloaks rewatch. Um, However, I'm going to try and focus on just this trailer, just this video. I'm going to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly. There are some good things. I'm going to try and be as fair and balanced as I possibly can here. So I'll talk about the things that I think look like they're going to be improvements from season 1. I'm going to talk about things that are causes for concern. I'm going to talk about things that I think are going to lead them into increased and further problems down the road. But overall, I'm going to try and stick with the trailer. It's going to be just just like I did for season 1. I did a sort of unemotional kind of breakdown of the. Actually, I guess no, that was a season 2. That was the season 2 teaser trailer. Man, it's been so long, almost 2 years that you think about things and you think they're season 1. It's crazy. The production model for this show has got to be wild. Stepping back from season 2 for just a brief second, anyone who thinks that we're going to get 8 seasons at a rate of roughly 2 years per season. I mean, with the writer's strike and everything else, season 3 is who knows how far in the distance, if it even gets made at this point. It's just unsustainable, right? Like Rosamund Pike is going to be 75 by season 8. Anyway, all right, okay, back to season 2, guys. Season 2 trailer. So we're gonna go through it. It's just gonna be a detailed breakdown. I've got the video here. We'll talk through it. We'll take pauses. I'll give you my thoughts as we go through it. There's a lot to unpack. This trailer, as is tradition with, I mean, most trailers, but like the Wheel of Time has really been pushing this of like super fast cuts, like very hard to establish context. Just like so much stuff coming at you, and you're almost trying to reconstruct what things are actually going to be related. So honestly, it's hard to make predictions about the plot of season 2 based on this trailer. Sometimes that's a good thing, right? Like sometimes you want a trailer that kind of hides the ball a little bit, but it's unusual. Generally speaking, you get a little more of a sense of what's happening, and it's unusual as well that like someone who really knows the story that they are purportedly trying to tell, right? Robert Jordan's story. That even with all of that knowledge and context, it's still sort of hard to see where some of these pieces are falling. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and dive right into it. It's going to be a thing. So, um, strap in and watch it with me. A note before I start playing this: I have slowed the video down. I have boosted the lighting, color corrected. I've inserted pauses. I haven't really cut any scenes out other than just some of the like kind of title cards and stuff like that. Mostly just took things that were not actually images from the show. But I have altered the images just for us to be able to see things in the background, get a little better idea of what's happening in some of the scenes, because sometimes detail is hidden there, especially we've talked about this before. Lots of people talked about this before. Productions making scenes so dark, like just visually dark these days, that some of the darker scenes you really need to highlight up and pull out some of the background detail in order to have a conversation about hey, what is this 3-second clip actually showing? So that was me, not the actual show. So if you're looking at it and think some of the colors look weird, I'll take blame for that. In general, I'll say that the lighting and colors and things like that from the trailer mostly look fine, right? So if you're looking at something and the color looks a little bit off, you go ahead and just blame that on me. Go ahead and watch the full trailer if you want to see what it looks like without the effects that I've done to it. All right, let's get into it. Put these on and let's go.
Everyone has a choice.
Okay. All right, there's the White Tower in Tarvalon. I'm going to pause right there. Okay, so some stuff to talk about here. We have the city of Tarvalon. We have the White Tower. A lot of the detail we've seen here before. The good. This looks better than it looked in season 1, but let's move on.
And every choice has a consequence.
So Moraine taking a bath because she didn't do that enough in season 1. Gosh, I feel like season 1. If we just pause here, I feel like season 1 spent. Moraine was in baths like all the time, which is kind of crazy. But hey, consistency, I guess. I like this. Every everyone has a choice, and every choice is a consequence. And then Moraine sitting here like channeling the spirit of the audience after watching Wheel of Time, just crying in a bathtub.
Defeat the Dark One.
All right, so here's Rand. Pause here again. Okay, the coat. I mean, honestly, like it could be kind of silk, whatever. I can't get over the shaved head thing. I love people online like trying to make this into a creative choice or something instead of just admitting that like the actor had better jobs that he was doing during this time period, and so he shaved his head for like another movie. I think it's like he's in a Danish Air Force movie or something like that. I don't remember. Comment down below with which movie it actually is. But it's like, no, he shaved his head for something else. And apparently the wig budget, season one's wig budget. Oh gosh, they couldn't afford a wig for Randall Thor though, the main character. So they just let him have a shaved head. And also it's like not even red tinged. So like literally they just stopped trying with Rand. The other side, I just have to leave this up. Uh, Anybody else remember the movie Blade Trinity? Can we just get a ruling here? Is this just knockoff Drake? All right, comment down below who you think wore it better.
We set him free.
Oh gosh, yeah. I guess we're not gonna get talking fades. Okay, the whole we set him free. It's they're really doubling down on the idea that Moraine knew in advance that the only way the Dark One could win was if the dragon was at the Eye of the World. So she brought the dragon to the Eye of the World, even though that might mean that everyone else got killed. And if the dragon just stayed away from the Eye of the World, I don't know. The logic of season one didn't make any sense. The fact they're doubling down on it a little bit here, like, all right, yeah, we released the Dark One. I guess it's Rand's fault. It's Moraine's fault. But yeah, that's not a good there, I guess. Okay, Egwene. Okay, just pause here. I mean, she's in the White Tower. Probably this looks like she's sort of in the area around where the accepted testing chamber is as well. She's doing some channeling. This really looks like season one channeling, right? You got the white kind of weaves. I know a lot of people are talking about the color. We're going to see more of that later. This is airbending at its finest. Again, sweet accepted trials, girls being novices. This is the riveting stuff that fans of the Wheel of Time series really wanted more of. I mean, I can't wait until we get 5 seasons of Elaine and the succession to the Andorran throne. That's gonna be it's great. I think that should be the focus of the rest of the books. To be honest, they should skip all this stuff with the dragon. All right. Okay. I'm not going to say a whole lot about this. We've seen this scene before. This is 100% what's in the teaser trailer. We broke it down then. There's some conversations about what exactly this is, but like, no, this is clearly the Dark Friend social. Like, let's not kid ourselves. You got, a certain channel that we're not going to talk about, and like their whole identity is wrapped up in this Dark Friend social. Like, was it a decent scene? Like the whole A Man Called Bors at the start of the Great Hunt. Like, yeah, it's a good scene. I like it. A lot of people like it. It's a good prologue. But like, it's not the most important scene in the series. The fixation with this scene, the fact that this is the fan service we're getting literally by name call out fan service for a particular YouTube channel and the fans of that YouTube channel is just fantastic. Like, not the books, like screw the books and doing those things. Let's just pander to a shill and his followers. But hey, I mean, with Rafe Jenkins in charge, like, I don't know what else you'd expect, to be completely honest here. But yeah, let's go on. Dark Friend Social. Weirdly, this guy over here, the show is apparently it's alternating between telling us who this guy is and who this guy isn't. I'll just say he's the man. I think is what press release stuff from the show is now calling him. He's leading around like a child here. I don't know what that's about, but whatever.
No one should have that
All right,
much
Nynaeve
power.
talking to Aes Sedai. Yeah. Okay, so here's this guy. We get some colored weaves happening here. Pause this here. Like, yeah, colored weaves. Yeah, we saw this in the behind the scenes or the sort of teaser trailer as well. A little more detail here. Again, I've kind of color enhanced it a bit so you can actually see it. This seems super dark in the trailer. I don't know. There's theories that this is Lanfear. There's nothing canonical to even possibly imagine what this might be, unless somebody decided to take a lot of creative license with Blood Calls Blood, the sort of dark prophecy, and like acts it out. Maybe, Blood Calls Blood, the Daughter of the Night. Yeah, a woman covered in blood. Sure, let's do that. Okay, here we go. We got some Damane. I guess like cultural appropriation braids, maybe. These costumes look terrible. We've seen this before though, so moving on. All right, here's the interesting stuff. Okay, so these are Shinarans. That's Uno. Left over there is I think he was like Shiota or something like that in season one. Honestly, a lot of those people's the names didn't get given out, so that means like this might be Ingtar kind of here in the middle. Who knows? Bottom line, these are Shinarans getting yeeted by Damane, like you remember in the books. Just throwing out, and then there you go, discount Baron. He's also getting in the mix. All right, so we got the accepted trial room. Here, pause here. Look at this.
Together we face
I
the
mean, set design's not
impossible.
terrible. This this looks like the cave that they did the like the women's circle thing and the Logain kind of prison cave. Like they have a weird fixation with these like paper mache caves with like sort of skylights. But like, sure, in a vacuum, if this was like the accepted trial room, okay. I mean, I would have never expected skylights. It's supposed to be like in sort of the basements of the Hollow Tower or the White Tower. But whatever. Like it looks fine. Okay, so we've seen this shot before.
But now,
Shine Arms, there you go. Okay, we'll pause here just to briefly highlight. This is one of those ones that I think it's just a miss, right? So you see Perrin right here. He's got a sword on his left hip there for some reason, and he's got a dagger on his right hip. And the only reason I'm going to highlight this is that it's not Layla's dagger. So they made this huge deal out of Layla's dagger in season one, and like they fridged his wife to give him this emotional burden, all of this stuff. Like that's just storytelling 101, right? Like you present the dagger and then the dagger needs to be a thing, right? So the fact that we like never see it again and we see here in season 2 where he's supposed to still be dealing with the trauma of his dead wife who he murdered, which yes, that would be traumatic. And here he is, he's like I don't know, he threw that away like it's he just got rid of it. He's got this other dagger, it's bigger and better, so yeah, no need for that anymore.
separate corners of the world.
Okay, Rand and Sindane, Lanfear, right? For those of you. Um, okay, so a lot has been said about her casting, whatever. I think she's a good actress. Like, period. That's the end of my thoughts on her. I think she's a good actress from everything else I've seen her in. I think she's a little too old for the role. I think that you can tell here, like, the makeup department probably needed to do a little bit more on smoothing a couple of those wrinkles around her mouth and stuff like that to make her a little more closer to Rand's age and appearance. She's not supposed to be ageless. She's supposed to look young, right? Um, but at the end of the day, I don't think that this is the largest miss by a long shot in the casting. I think that in a better show with a stronger season one, a season one that followed the books and followed the actual story, I don't think anyone would be making a big deal about this. I think at this point it's just that the everyone is so negative about the show because it's absolutely trash and there's so much gaslighting going on about it where it's you're bad for noticing that it's bad. That now like any little thing that's wrong, people are going to jump on, not without purpose. Like I don't begrudge people their opinion in this area. I just personally think that she's fine. I think she's probably going to do a pretty good job in the role again, just because she's a good actor or actress, depending on if you're a fan of stage or film, I suppose. So I think she's going to do a good job. I think that she's probably going to be potentially the strongest performance of season 2, just based on her and what she's bringing to any production she's in. So, good side. I'm actually interested to see what she does with the role more than really most of the rest of what they show us in the trailer. All right. Again, just brief flashes on this stuff. I think this is Kyrian. There's just the overall sort of aesthetic. The thing with that though is that it's we haven't seen Kyrian in the show. The show does such weird stuff with the like aesthetics and visuals, from canon that like this could be literally anywhere, and who knows. But if I was thinking that it was a book thing, I would say yeah, probably Kyrian. It's just very plain and sort of simple and kind of geometric. Um, the person down the end of the hallway down here uh, looks to be I don't know. I can't tell who that is. For a brief minute, I almost thought that it was maybe Loyal. He's kind of about the height of the door, so fairly tall. They're not trying to make Loyal even close to his actual height, so like he's just a tall person-sized person. So could be Loyal. He's got kind of the bushy top of the head silhouette up there, but let's say it's not that. Blue sort of garb over here. It could be Moraine. It could be Sindane that we just saw briefly before. She was wearing all blue. Could be any number of people. Who the heck knows? This could be. Later we're going to see that the White Tower might be visiting Kyrian. So maybe this is one of those tower guard women. I don't know. It's hard to tell. Comment down below. Tell me who you think is at the end of the hallway. Not super relevant, but here we go. Yeah, it's hard a lot at night.
Protecting Rand, guiding him, that is the only thing that matters.
All right, so I'll just pause here because, protecting Rand, guiding him, that's the only thing that matters. Honestly, like, not a bad line for Moraine, right? Like, I actually think that is a Moraine line, right? Especially kind of 2 land, it harkens a little bit to the marine and land dynamics up in Arafel in The Great Hunt. They're sort of falling out a little bit. How she's really willing to do anything that is necessary for her mission, and he's more concerned about protecting her. That's the dynamic of their characters. But my problem with this shot in this trailer is that I think it's a bait and switch, right? Like, I mean, let's be honest. The press about giving Moraine a job in season 2 when she was barely in the collective books of book 2 and book 3, in terms of like point of view chapters. She was literally almost not in book 2, and then she was a important but minor character in terms of book 3. Um, so trying to give her an outsized narrative role, I think it's going to distort the plot. I don't know how they're going to do that, and so I think this line in the trailer. I think is trying to do a lot of heavy lifting of trying to convince the audience that like, hey, we're sorry for not caring about Rand at all or the boys in general at all in season 1, but like season 2, it's going to be different. It's about Rand. He's the only thing that matters. And it's like, well, you wouldn't have to say this line if season 1 had been done right. And season 2 was filmed and completed before a lot of the kind of criticism of season 1 came out. So I just don't buy that they've changed course in that area. But hey, maybe I'll be pleasantly surprised. I don't think so. I think this is aligned to mislead the audience and try and get you to watch season 2, and then you're going to watch season 2, and Rand, and to another extent, Perrin and Matt, I think are going to be minor characters. I think that we're going to spend a lot of time with Egwene and Nynaeve and Elaine in the White Tower and in captivity, and we're going to spend a lot of time with Moraine and Kyrian because that happened, and Moraine and Swan, and Rand is just going to like be there as a prop in some scenes. Oh gosh. Okay, pause. Um, oh, okay. I'm just gonna throw this up there. You guys can tell me again who wore it best. Oh man, this is absurd. The costume department is something else. They're really trying to help us enjoy the show. Is all I can say. Oh, it's fantastic. Rand channeling another more colors. Sweet as okay, color channeling like I don't know. I'm not super impressed by it. I mean, it's better than the season 1 channeling. Fair. That's a very low bar. Um, but for me, the the story is not about the magic. The magic is a thing that happens around the story. It is a necessary component of the story, but the story is a character story, and Rand's character in the show hasn't yet earned the audience's you know empathy, hasn't earned your attention. And so doing a shiny new one power CGI job, like that's not going to do it. I don't know who that's going to make happier about the show. That was a complaint about season 1 in addition to everything else. And I think most of us would have been fine with like kind of bad CGI if the story was right. So having better CGI, if the story's not right, it's still going to flop. Like I don't know who at Amazon needs to hear that message.
You have
Aaron and the
something
Wolves.
inside you.
Okay, his eyes are turning gold. That's good. I don't know. Maybe his eyes turn gold here, and then like they stay gold from that point on. I think we've seen some stills later. Like last episode of the series, him and Falma, and like he didn't have golden eyes. So it's been talked about that maybe this is going to be when he does wolf things, his eyes turn gold, which I mean is a way to drive up the CGI budget, I guess. I suppose that's a way to also give some insight into like when he's doing wolf things without actually devoting any time or attention to what that is like for his character. I don't think we're going to get conversations with the wolves in any meaningful way. To be honest, I don't blame the production for that. I think that would be a really hard thing to do without it, reminding people of the worst parts of Aragon. Um, yeah, I mean, I do feel for the production in this one area. This was always going to be a challenge. So, I'll go into it with an open mind and see what they do. I'm still going to always give them, discredit in that this is happening in season 2 instead of season 1. Like, it's so strange how they tried to shove in very late story plot arcs and development and character narratives on some characters, and then they like did delayed progression and like sort of failure to launch from a character perspective for people like Perrin. The argument that a lot of the show fans and people who are kind of marginal fans of the books talk about is Matt was like not really a character in the first couple books, which is a trash argument. We've talked about it many times, but fine. You don't think Matt was a real character early on. So the solution then is to bring forward Matt's character earlier, not to make the same thing that you think was a mistake about the books Instead, they bring forward other characters' arcs, which were actual real arcs, right? And they just put the payoff in season one. That was a trash move. So I don't know. I don't think Perrin and the Wolf stuff. I don't think it's really salvageable at this point, but we'll see what they do. Okay, pause here. Yeah, you guys remember the part where Rand physically assaulted Moraine in the books? Remember the part where Rand did violence against women? You guys remember that part of the books? Ugh, sure, whatever. Toxic masculinity. All right, we've seen this. More accepted trial. Him and the dagger. Like, okay, well, pause here. Um, I have no idea where this scene is supposed to happen. So if you remember, we left him, obviously the other actor, same Big Lebowski bathrobe though. We left him like in Tarvalon at the end of the last episode, episode 8 of season one, and we left the dagger in Padden Fane's keeping with the Horn of Villiers and a bunch of Murdral and presumably Trollocs and Dark Friends and things like that. Um, so that's where we left the two parties. Um, no explanation on why Padden Fane would have any interest in setting the dagger out like this. I don't know. This, in my mind, this is them trying to scramble maybe for something here to try and rebuild, some problems. They created this problem for themselves, right? Matt should have been healing with the yellows in Tarvalon or something like that. Yeah, the way that they did Matt dirty after the actor left, I think they're just trying to figure out some semblance of how to get him back into the story for season two. To be honest, I think it's going to fall short. I think that um, and I put this on the showrunner. It's the showrunner's job to kind of keep the production running, to include keeping the actors, in. So when you have a lead actor leave before the filming is even done on a season, like that's on you. Like, and you can say, well, the actor had some instability or whatever it was. Which, by the way, I hope he's doing fine. I don't know what's going on in his life. I hope that he's well. But then that still falls on the showrunner for casting, right? Like, cast more reliable people. Like, I don't know what to tell you there. So yeah, I'm not sure how they're going to dig themselves out of this. I think it's going to be unfulfilling. I think it's going to have a lot of problems. But yeah, sure, here it is.
I want to
Okay,
know.
so we got Rand and Sindane again. So just kind of pause there. Again, like, her kind of manipulating him, doing some stuff. If this was the books, I would think that she was trying to get him to channel into a portal stone, right? Um, no idea. Like, I don't think we're going to see portal stones in the show ever, which is unfortunate. But hey, that is what it is. I don't think we're ever going to see it, and I think that without seeing the portal stones, I don't know how Rand and Sindane. I don't know how it's going to work, especially bringing Moraine to Kyrian, which I think is clearly what they're going to do. Um, I just don't see how that's going to play out. Again, this is the problem where like even like knowing the books is almost a disservice with how much they've changed because you have thoughts of like, well, this is what they would be doing in the books, but like it's so far removed. So I guess the relationship between them, she's manipulating him, trying to get him to go after glory and honor and all this kind of stuff, and he's struggling internally. Like maybe that's all still there. Maybe the core of that is the same. But man, everything else is going to be different.
How to control it.
Okay, yeah, pause here. Um, Another example of like I can't possibly conceive of what this scene is. These two characters don't meet until Crossroads of Twilight. Um, is It's a little bizarre. I do have two thoughts, honestly, just comedic ones for this, so I'll sort of show those to you guys. The first one is this guy here. This is Hatter from the show Alice in the Borderlands. Um, I think the two of them are really channeling some of this energy here, which is good. Who knows? Maybe this show will be as good as that show, which was like not a great show, but at least was entertaining. Um, and then my second one is like, tell me that you don't think that shot reminds you of this art from the Dragon Reborn. This is the ebook cover. And it's Rand sitting under a tree in front of a stone wall with kind of like an arch thing, and you're looking there. There's an arch thing behind it. If that's sort of filled in with brick, pretty similar to the tree back there. He's probably sitting on some roots or something like that. Like someone saw that book cover and thought that was a thing that happened in the books. Maybe I don't know. Gosh, yeah, I have no thoughts. It's inconceivable to me what this might be. There's some fun theories that Logain is taking over the role of Asmodean. Oh, it's so dumb, so dumb. Sure, yeah, the two of them meet just like in the books, and didn't we last see him when Swan, who can't tell a lie, was talking about how he was going to get chained and tortured and brought out only for people to be reminded of the strength of the White Tower? But here he is in the gardens with Rand eating, I don't know, probably a tasty peach cobbler. Ridiculous.
The last battle's coming.
Oh my gosh, this looks ridiculous. So this all looks such weird CGI stuff. I'm sure these actors are maybe standing there. A lot of this, the rest of it looks just bad. But the main thing is like just Xerxes from 300, I guess, is the vibe they're going for here, but like way lower budget, like discount version. Okay, pause here. We're gonna talk about this later. I'm just gonna throw it on there now. This is gonna be important later, and we'll talk about it when we get to it. But just this is what I mean about like not getting details right. So in season one, we talked about the rings, being huge and gaudy and recognizable, and like having the colored stones for the Ajas, how that was going to cause problems for like certain novices and accepted that were going to try and pretend to be Aes Sedai, and the Heron Mark blade being wrong objectively from the descriptions that Robert Jordan gave to it, and the fact that it didn't have, for example, herons on the actual, the hilts, which were then going to, twice and twice shall you be marked, right? So the herons on the palms can't happen because there aren't any herons on the grip to get on the palms. Just things like that, where it's like there's no reason from I can't think of any reason from a cost perspective, from a design perspective, from a messaging perspective, a narrative perspective, storytelling, whatever. There's zero reason to have changed those details. And this is another one, right? So the long fingernails that the Shanchan have. The problem with this, though, is that they're the wrong fingernails. Also, they don't look like real fingernails. They look like absurd, like 2 foot long, sort of like, you know, fake nails with like finger rings that like hold them in place. I wouldn't be surprised if we literally see a character take these off at some point in the show, like confirming that they're not actually real nails. But let's assume they're real nails at this point. They're the wrong nails, and I'm not just making that up. Like if I go to the world of Robert Jordan's The Wheel of Time right here by Robert Jordan and Teresa Patterson, which hey, there's some mistakes in this book, a few of them intentional, neither here nor there. But this part is correct. This matches the actual descriptions in the books, and I'll just read it to you straight from the horse's mouth, as it were. So, in the chapter about the Shanchan, long lacquered fingernails are another visible sign of rank. The more lacquered fingernails, the higher the rank of the noble. All nobles, beginning with the lowest, wear long, exaggerated nails lacquered at least lacquering at least their little fingers, pinky finger. High lords and ladies paint the nails of their ring finger as well, these 2 fingers. Members of the royal family have 3 painted long nails on the little finger, ring finger, and the middle finger, leaving only the index finger and thumb free. The ruler will have all 5 nails painted. Each lord or lady's nails are lacquered in colors indicative of their house. So, a couple problems. First of all, these aren't lacquered in a color. So that's just one thing right there, taking away some of the vibrancy and interest in the in sort of the world. They're way too long. They're comically long. But like, all right, whatever. Say this book doesn't, even though the actual books do talk about the length a little bit. They're the wrong fingers. They're the pointer finger and the middle finger. 2 nails would indicate a high lord or lady. So this being the high lady Suroth. The problem though is that it's intentional. Robert Jordan did it with intention, going from the pinky finger towards the top of the hand, because you can still use your hands, right? So a low blood just has the pinky finger, still has 4 fingers, the most useful 4 fingers on their hand with no obstruction. And the nails were, only a few inches long, so they were not comically long. You could still pick things up, manipulate them, work, right? You could still do tasks. You can't do anything with these long nails, and it's going to be highlighted later how just absolutely absurd and ridiculous it is. And the only person who had them all was the Empress. And again, imagine the Empress with all 5 nails of that length. Are you kidding me? It looked like that chick from the freaking X-Men movie where it was Wolverine, but it was her fingernails. Like, absurd. So just keep that in mind. It's non-canon, and people will say like, oh, well, why does that matter? It looks interesting and it doesn't mean anything, except it does mean something, and it's going to cause a later scene to look ridiculous. And there's no reason to change it. Oh my gosh. Okay, stop here too. Damn it. This is really impossible to get through. So we have this dude, the man, standing next to the High Lady Suroth, which I can't even guess the context of that, other than there's a theory that this is actually Lanfear, pretending to be the High Lady. Okay. I don't know what's going on with her stuff. We talked about that in the teaser trailer, though, so I'm not going to hit her face covering and all that garbage, whatever it is. But just sure, him standing next to her, not even like equals, like she's the one on the throne and he's standing there. In the book, this character would never tolerate that, ever. It's absurd. Yeah, okay. And then right away, okay, so here you go. He's got his nails over here, again, looking completely comical. He could not have opened this chest with those nails on. Like, that's the reason they don't show him opening it, because it's impossible. It would look absurd. There's no way. Um, that whole getup that he's wearing, like, that makes literally zero sense. It's it's absolutely ridiculous. Um, just wait until you see the next time that we see this guy with these fingernails. I don't know why he has scarred head either. The whole world. Yeah. All right. So your pause here. So yeah, Egwene standing there doing some power stuff. She's getting attacked by the Damani. This is presumably when they come out of the Waygate with Leandrin having brought them out there. Um, you know, in the books, she basically gets captured without even knowing what's up. That's kind of important. Her arc is going from a naive, kind of like overly optimistic girl who like trusts people and is optimistic and it doesn't really know her way in the world to becoming a force to be reckoned with. And one of the key inflection points in her story is when she gets captured and made to be a victim and made to be a slave, and she she is damaged by this, but she also benefits from it in that they force her to learn how to use the one power. And so she comes out of that experience way stronger, way more developed than she would have otherwise because of the aggressive training program that she was put into. So the sort of overall story there, right, is the Shanchan sort of engineered the seed of the force, which is ultimately going to throw them back out of the White Tower, right? So it's just crazy that you would instead make her like fighting the Damani off, which is more kind of what Nynaeve did with minimal effectiveness, versus just being captured and having to go through that traumatic experience. I don't know why you would want to rob her character of that development, but that's we saw her in season one. She was powered up early, inexplicably, and so now she has to hold that power level. So I mean, by the end of the season, she's going to be rivaling the Forsaken, just head one on one. In fact, I wouldn't be terribly surprised if we see her fighting Forsaken by the end of the season. But sure, let's go ahead and do. All right, Nynaeve and her trials, probably. It's the only way that makes sense. We've seen this before. Okay. Yeah, to seek the light. Huh. Okay. This right here, the next scene, you'll see it. Perrin is standing there with like similar backgrounds and stuff like that. So like, I guess his child and him kind of standing around. I don't know why a little girl in the Two River is running around with a sword. I mean, even little boys in the Two River, like running around with, probably a wooden sword, whatever, is not really a thing that would have been going on. Bows and quarterstaffs and stuff, right? But a little girl running around with a sword, that seems like more, Nynaeve with a sword trash. But I don't, I don't know what this is going to be. Maybe it's going to be a wolf dream thing for Perrin. Maybe the love triangle is going to continue, and we're going to see Egwene having a dream about Perrin and their child. I don't know. I can't think of a good reason for this scene. It's anyway. There's Perrin. Yep. So yeah, good. More of the two of them together, which like the only downside of the two of them together. I mean, hey, they're wearing dresses, which is that's nice. Previous season they weren't really. It's just they never meet again for the entire series, right? Like Faldara at the very very beginning of the Eye of the World, but the pieces aren't arranged in the proper location. Like Rand and the boys, Matt's not in Faldara, Rand's not going to be in Faldara. So the Amerlin going to Faldara and meeting with Moraine and meeting with Rand, like that's not going to happen, which means that this is going to happen in either Cairhien or the White Tower or somewhere else. So this is going to be this is going to be a huge distraction. It's going to take a lot of time from the story that the story does not have to devote. It's only an 8-episode season. They're already trying to shove 2 books into one season, and they're trying to cut time from the beginning of the series instead of at the end of the series when they're still needing to establish the foundation of a lot of these characters. So, doing this on a character that, hey, spoiler alert, like Moraine is not going to stick around for the whole story, and Swan is going to be a much less important character for a lot of the story. Like, this is so much wasted time. It's fan service for some of the worst elements of the fandom that don't actually care about the story. They just want to see themselves reflected in the story, which, like, there are lots of books for that. Like, whatever. I'm not going to get into that, but I think this is just going to be a distraction. It's not going to contribute to the overall story unless this is your narrow niche thing that you care about. In which case, more power to you, I guess. They must brave the dark.
If our friends are in trouble, why?
So the only thing I think there, maybe that's a play on them going through the ways again to go seek the light, help their friends, whatever. Yep, more of the accepted trials. So like, that's good. The two of them, yeah, they're talking about how they're going to leave.
No conception
We've got
of
that
the
line
power
previous
they
teaser trailer.
use.
You can't do this by
Um,
yourself.
yeah, I mean the two of them, their relationship, him saying, him looking out for her, that's fine. In the background, the stonework again, this could be Kyrian. Confirms in my mind that they might be in Kyrian. Although who knows? Andor and Kamala are supposed to be in season 2 for some reason. The reason being that they didn't put it in season 1 for some reason. Um, so if they're supposed to, maybe this is all Andor. Maybe it's not even in Kyrian. This is very hard to keep track of. I mean, the hood looks terrible. Ninja flips, just fighting White Cloaks. So she was fighting White Cloaks because she's taking over Gaul's story. Perrin is going to free her out of the cage probably, and then they're going to fight White Cloaks together. And then we're going to have that terrible kind of leaked script about how she compliments him on his sword work as an Aiel because he doesn't have an axe, he has a sword, and she doesn't know that Aiel don't like swords. And then she's going to offer a Wookiee life debt to Perrin, and that's going to be a driving force in their character. And then we have Nynaeve, who is fighting. I don't know. That looks like Maxim maybe behind her in the warder training grounds over here. Maxim, by the way, like that sweep of the sword to her exposed back, like she would get chopped in half, so he's clearly taking it easy on her. That's the patriarchy at work. Um, oh, this is great. So, Lan with two swords, nice dual wielding. I like it. That looks like a Murdral behind him. Looks like a Murdral in front of him. That Murdral in front of him has his sword pointed straight at Lan's exposed groin as he's doing like a backflip, kickflip thing here. So I guess what this is the Malkieri secret crane kick. And if done right, no can defend. This Murdral over here, boot to the head, going down, and then he's going to finish the flip and double stab the one behind him. I can't wait. The fight choreography, I'm sure, is going to be fantastic. Also, imagine how dark this scene was in the actual trailer. This is very much boosted. So I hope you're in a dark room when you're watching the show. It's going to be another one of those shows where you can't see half the stuff that goes on as soon as it's nighttime. Tarvalon at night.
There are many paths to walk through the night.
Okay. Yeah, she's walking. I don't know. This got a wagon with a bunch of junk on it. This could be literally anywhere. So who knows?
It's not always the most
We saw this in the teaser trailer.
who write history.
But yep, hey, shirtless Rand for the ladies. More accepted trial. Okay, this one we need to pause on for a little bit here. So this guy over on the left looks like White Cloak. Could be sort of Lord Captain Bornhald, sort of Bornhald the Elder. I'm just trying to think. We have Perrin. We have Egwene down here, like in the corner. Like yeah, this could be trying to shove the White Cloaks capture, torture stuff into season 2. But they already did that terribly in season 1. I don't know. This is, this shot is one of the ones that probably has me the most concerned, honestly, about what the heck this show is going to be doing, because like Perrin and Egwene in these 2 books should almost never be in the same place. And again, this guy looks kind of like a White Cloak, right? With what's going on over here, they love to do sort of religious kind of regalia for the White Cloaks. I don't know. I'm at a loss for what good this scene could be. Obviously, we had to have this in there. It's Ray's favorite scene.
It's the ones who survive.
Gosh, okay. Her again. They're talking. Women talking in hallways. Rand. I mean, meh.
I'm tired of being
Okay,
spoken
this is
with.
there. Pause this. This is what I meant. Look at no one can look at this scene right here and tell me that this does not look comical. Like, it's absurd to think that he could be a blade master using a sword like this with a two-handed grip or even a one-handed grip with those freaking fingernails. Like, you would have zero control. You couldn't control the blade. The pinky and ring finger being slightly long with a slightly modified grip where you just kind of hold them flat against the grip at the bottom instead of fully wrapping them around. With a two-handed grip, that's very possible, right? With a one-handed grip, potentially still it's potentially still possible with some modification of the handle or the hand grip, which Robert Jordan talked about. But this is comical. It's going to look ridiculous. The scene is going to look ridiculous. It already looks ridiculous. Like, look at everything about the scene. It all looks terrible. Gosh. Hey, look at that scene again. Okay. So that scene actually started kind of good and like brought back some ideas of Rand in the wilderness and the Dragon Reborn, the flaming sword, and like killing all sorts of dark friends and shadow spawn and stuff, right? But then you see it kind of pulls back here, and it's like an old dude with like a white haired kind of ponytail and stuff. It's got some swirling, so like yep, it's I mean clearly a one power sword. Something's going on there. That was a fade who's getting killed by it. So I don't know. This is just Beric Dondarrion over here with the flaming sword. Like I have no idea who this character could be. Um, if it was Rand, then you'd almost be like, oh man, Rand is like getting powered up a little bit. Instead, every Rand picture that we see of Rand is mostly him just kind of whining and moping and like not doing anything active. Um, and then this random dude doing this scene, I don't know. It's probably going to be like a Forsaken that's killing an uppity Murdral. It's going to be completely unrelated to the plot. Matt, big explosion, so maybe
Spoke, boy.
the
You
break in.
are the water.
Okay, so you got the Amerlin seat sitting on the Amerlin seat, sitting in a hall that looks absolutely nothing like the White Tower. And again, for all the reasons we talked about before, this looks like it might be Kyrian. It could also be Andor because we haven't seen either of those two places, so we don't know what the aesthetic is going to be. But kind of old-fashioned gilded stuff. It could very well be Kyrian. There's kind of a star. I mean, it's the Star of David, right? But it's like a sunburst in the middle of the floor, so maybe Kyrian. I don't know. Again, geometry, right? Is geometric stuff is kind of big with Kyrian, but it's just why is the Harlan's throne there? It's so good. And then what she says here, so you are the water. She says you're not a spoke of the wheel. You're the water that turns the wheel
That
itself.
turns the
Which
wheel itself.
no Aes Sedai would ever say that to a male channeler of all things. Um, so it warrants just a brief contemplation here that within the cosmology of the Aes Sedai, who don't know how Sidene feels to channel, the one power is thought of as a river, a current that sort of flows. The one power is the force that turns the wheel. So they view, in a very real sense, the one power, at least Sidene, or at least Sidar, although they probably have no reason to think that Sidene is different. And we know when later they start realizing this, they are shocked by how alien Sidene is. So they would conceive of the one power as the water that turns the wheel, if you wanted to use that metaphor. So calling any person, let alone a male channeler, the water that turns the wheel, like no, that wouldn't be how they would describe that. But sort of a minor nitpick among all of the other things. I mean, when you're not using Robert Jordan's words, I guess all of your words are going to be wrong. Shocker! If you don't use the words of the author who created the world, you're probably going to be off on the lore. All right, there you go. That was a very long breakdown. We'll see how much I can cut this down in editing, but gosh, there's a lot there. Very little of it good. But here we go. Summary time. The good. It does actually look better. Very low bar from season one, but like the CGI does look better. To the extent that we see it, the lighting and kind of shot setup does look better. The costumes also do look better. I mean, they're not great, but like season one was awful. We didn't see a whole lot of the Aiel in this trailer. We've seen the Aiel's costumes. They're pretty gross and terrible. So I mean, that's going to be a mark against them in that area. And the Shan-Chan look terrible. Okay, I take it back. The costumes are also awful. But overall, the show looks like it's probably going to feel more professional. Season one, like it didn't feel professional. It was like high school sort of musical. It was not well put together. The bad is there's not even really a lot of bad at this point. There's just kind of the ugly, and the ugly is really what I probably want to say in total about this. That it is, I think it's unrecognizable as Robert Jordan's story. It's got some of the same character names, some of the same character places, but the contexts are different. The characters themselves are different. The plot is different. The themes and the sort of narrative purpose is different. And so, on one level, hey, if you're someone who can watch this show as somebody who hasn't read the books or somebody who has read the books but just doesn't care about book accuracy in adaptations. And I'll admit, there are some franchises that I am like that. Where I've read the books. I read them one time, a long time ago. I'm watching a franchise, or I'm watching a new, movie or TV show, and like I recognize that it is nothing like the books, but it's still okay. It's still decent, and I'm still enjoying it. Right. Um, if you can watch this show that way, then you will probably come away thinking season two is an improvement over season one based on what we're seeing from the trailers. Um, if you watch season one and were offended by their use of Robert Jordan's name in the show, uh, I have bad news for you. I don't think there's any coming back. I think that Rafe was lying when he said that season two would kind of get all of the characters to where they're supposed to be for the Shadow Rising, and then suddenly it would be true to the books from that point on. Um, that's not how storytelling works. You don't get to remove all of the cornerstones from the foundation and then build the same house on top of it and expect it to hold up. It's gonna collapse. So I think that maybe it'll be an okay season of television. That remains to be seen. I am highly skeptical based on what I saw of season one and based on the names that have been associated with season two so far, and based on it being Amazon. And Amazon hasn't impressed me recently. Um, Highly skeptical, but remains to be seen. So there you go. That is, I think, an unbiased or attempted to be unbiased breakdown of this trailer. It's a rough watch for someone who is a fan of the series, but it is what it is. So thank you guys for watching. We'll do a little bit of a party with some friends and talk through all this stuff again on Saturday, this upcoming Saturday. And got some news and announcements and stuff like that that'll be coming out. So thank you guys for watching. And as always, walk in the light.